Welcome to the Maxxis FIM Enduro World Championship. The world's top off-road riders are set to do battle over 8 rounds in a variety of classes at a host of locations across the globe in the coming months, with Mexico included on this year's calendar. There are 3 championships to be won: Enduro 1, Enduro 2 and Enduro 3. This year, the campaign kicks off with the Grand Prix of Catalonia, based in the beautiful town of Solsona in the north of Spain, not far from the French border. There is history in the remains of the walls that fortify the old town and embellish the newer parts of this regional capital. The current Enduro 3 champion, Christophe Nambertin, has this year switched to Enduro 1, which is contested by 125cc 2-stroke and 250cc 4-stroke machines.
Yeah, for sure. My start with 300 was cool, and now I need to push more gear with engine. So no, my style is a little bit different, but we will see it's a good speed or not.
The Enduro 2 class is for 250cc 2-stroke bikes and 450cc 4-stroke bikes. The defending champion is Honda's Alex Salvini of Italy.
It's going to be for sure a tough season with too many contenders. Antoine Meo, Bela René, John Hubert. It's going to be tough. Sure, it's going to be also more because I started the season with injury on my left thumb, and at the moment it's quite sore, and it's only 20 days from when I got the surgery.
The Enduro 3 category is made up of 300cc 2-strokes and 500cc 4-strokes. Returning to Enduro 3 is former champion Ivan Cervantes of Spain.
Yeah, the class is so difficult. This year is stronger and more than the last year, and well, it's not Christophe number 10, but it's another good riders, and for sure it's a very big fight in the end of the year.
This year's event gets underway with the super test in the heart of the town of Solsona. Thousands of spectators taking up every available vantage point to see the Enduro stars in action. Round 1, day 1, Enduro 1. Racing in this class again is Anthony Boissière. The Frenchman riding for the Moto Propulsion Sherco team. His best result was when he finished 6th in the last test of the day, which helped cement an overall 6th position at the end of day 1. Hiro Remez is a stalwart of the World Enduro Championship. A solid opening day for the Finn on the TM machine, missing out on 4th place overall by less than a second. Impressing on his debut ride in Enduro 1 is Spain's Jaume Betru on the Husqvarna as he edges out Remez on the leaderboard. Just watch as Betru's back wheel nudges a large rock into the path of Edward Hubner, causing the German to hit the dirt. France's Jeremy Taru on the factory Sherco posted the fastest time on the 2nd extreme test, and that helped him claim his first podium result of the season with a 3rd, just 13 seconds shy of 2nd place. Having topped the Friday Super Test, Cristobal Guerrero went into the first full day of competition not only full of confidence, but looking to celebrate his birthday with a win. He was a shade off Nambertin's pace, and the junior world champion of 2005 would end the day in 2nd place, 14 seconds off top spot. Christophe Nambertin claiming the win despite a crash midway through the day. The Frenchman carrying on in Enduro 1, where he left off from last year's Enduro 3 championship. A statement of intent from one of the world's finest off-road riders of recent times. Less than a minute covering the top 6, and any doubts whether Round1 could adapt to dropping to a smaller class look to have been evaporated.
No, I'm happy. I push more, and no, I think this year we will be a big fight.
The Enduro 2 class looks as if it will be contested by 3 Frenchmen and an Italian, Alex Salvini. However, the Honda rider begins the campaign at a disadvantage due to his injury, and it's clear early on he's riding for points and not podiums. Salvini in considerable pain, and service offers a chance of some respite.
Alex, you are suffering?
Yeah, very much. I took already 3 pills, but still really sore all day long. You know, I feel everything, and it's really hard to finish the race.
Oriol Mena had been holding 4th overall throughout the majority of the day, but slipped back to 5th during the final test, 1 place and 5 seconds ahead of Salvini. It was Lorenzo Santolino on the CH Racing Sherco who had claimed 4th position. However, his overall time was more than a minute slower than the top 3 on the podium. As expected, it was the French who dominated Enduro 2. Pela Rene on the Husqvarna won the final Enduro test of the day. He would end up 12 seconds slower than his compatriot Johnny Aubert. The Beta Factory team rider had begun the weekend by claiming the spoils in front of thousands of spectators at the Super Test. He couldn't quite carry that through to day 1, but he would go on to grab 2nd overall. Meo was the master on day 1. He would end proceedings with more than half a minute to spare over Aubert. This is the picture in Enduro 2, and it's Vive la France with KTM factory rider Antoine Meo waving the tricolour on the top step of the podium.
It was difficult for me because I was in the middle of the pack, so all the time in the stage I have a little traffic, you know. But anyway, it was a great day. I did 2 mistakes, but it's race, you know. It was very long and very tough, so I'm very happy to win the first day.
As expected, the early pace setter in Enduro 3 was a KTM rider, but some may be surprised as to who it was.
Yeah, so far so good. At the moment, no crashes and the bike's working perfect, so fingers crossed for another good lap, and we'll check the score at the end of that.
In 2nd place behind Phillips was his teammate Ivan Cervantes.
I'm very happy because staying in the top 3, I think, is the key for the championship, you know. Waiting for these 2 laps, I do my best, 100% or more, and maybe see you in the podium, but in the top.
Cervantes back into the battle with Finland's Matti Saistola for company. The Finn would snatch 6th place overall by winning the final test of the day. Jeremy Joly was making his Enduro 3 debut, but faded as time went on to finish in 5th. Louis Correa of Portugal, riding for the Beta Factory team, had a fairly consistent outing, eventually claiming 4th position. Matthias Polino began the day with a 1st and a 2nd in the opening 2 tests, but slipped back down the order after the 3rd, and 3rd is where he would finish on the Bel-Ray Husqvarna. It was a sterling effort from Matthew Phillips, with the KTM rider fighting all the way, but eventually settling for 2nd place. The Spanish fans wanted to see a Spanish winner, and that's what they got. What made it sweeter for the Catalans was that it was one of their own. Spectators thronged the hillsides to cheer on Cervantes to victory. Bellino edging out Correa for third place, with Phillips coming up short by 11 seconds on Ivan Cervantes, who records the first Enduro 3 triumph of the year.
I try in the beginning for the leading the race. It's impossible because my teammate it's a little bit more fast. But I think in the middle of the race I make him a little bit more stronger than him, and in the end it is possible the victory.
Coming up next, the focus switches to day 2 of the Enduro World Championship. The sun rises on Solsona in northern Spain, and day 2 of round 1 of the Maxxis FIM World Enduro Championship. It's Danny Mechanic's final year in the junior class, and he began his campaign with a win on each day.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Come away with 2 wins. I come into the season feeling strong and stuff, obviously with a new bike, with Beta Buana and stuff, so I felt real good, and obviously to win yesterday I was real happy, and to win again today by nearly 30 seconds, it's absolute perfect weekend.
Meccani leading the championship table, 8 points ahead of both Giacomo Redondi and Loic Lariou, who are tied on 32 points each, with Niccolo Mori 4th. Laia Sanz is looking for a 3rd consecutive women's world title. Britain's Jane Daniels is her nearest rival, but the Spanish rider triumphed on both days to take maximum points.
It's been incredible. There were many people, and it was really nice to ride at home, and many fans, so it was so fun.
The women don't appear again until the championship visits Finland in June, so Laia Sanz will remain on top ahead of Jane Daniels and Jessica Gardner until then. The sun continued to beat down on Solsona as the Enduro 1 class got underway. Thomas Oldrati of Hungary had just missed out on a top 6 finish by just 10 seconds on the previous day. This time, he would go one better, comfortably placing his Bellray Husqvarna in the top half-dozen positions. Jeremy Tarou had finished day 1 on the podium. There would be no repeat of that feat this time around, as he settled for 5th place. Another rider who was not quite on the pace of the previous 24 hours was Spain's Cristobal Guerrero. Having finished in 2nd position, he'll be disappointed to pick up 4th this time. Euro Remes was more like his old self. He found himself in a battle with Anthony Boissiere as they squabbled over 2nd place. It was a close-fought duel, but Anthony Boissiere eventually taking 2nd, but only by the slightest of margins, finishing the event with less than a second to spare over his Finnish rival. While the difference between 2nd and 3rd was tight, the gap to the number 1 position was considerable. Christophe Nambertin had earlier dominated Enduro 1, and it was same again this time around. The Frenchman winning all but 2 of the tests. And winning with almost 40 seconds to spare, despite a small crash on the extreme test. Nambertin looking to become only one of a few riders to have won different world Enduro titles. Enduro 3 champion for the past 2 seasons, the Frenchman appears no way phased in his new challenge, and is already confirming his pre-season status as favourite for honours. Once again, there's less than a minute covering the top 6 riders in Enduro 1, but already Nambutan is looking a clear favourite to take the title.
Just one mistake today, the last extreme test. I make not crash, but big mistake. So I lose 10 seconds, but no, I'm very happy because my speed is better and better.
This is how the Enduro 1 campaign looks going into the next round at Portugal, with Christophe Nambutan blazing a trail at the top of the standings. Day 2 and Enduro 2, which looks like being the most competitive class of this campaign. Urko Gritti may have arrived in Spain thinking of taking a souvenir back home to Finland with him. There's drama when early leader Antoine Mayo suffers a crash which costs him the lead of the class.
Yeah, I crashed directly in extreme and the motocross was not so bad. And you know, in the middle of the pack, today it's a lot of dust, so I don't see very well the line, and I keep one guys, and after I crash first time, I keep again and crash again, so I was a little nervous, but now I try to make big up for have more vision.
Lorenzo Santolino had finished the previous day in 4th, just under 2 minutes off top spot. Remarkably, it was a similar margin again. However, this time, the CH Racing Sherco rider was shuffled down to 6th on the final overall leaderboard. Alex Salvini was once again riding through the pain barrier with gritted teeth. Adrenaline was keeping the Italian going as he took his Honda to 5th place. One of the big surprises of day 2 was the performance of world motocross rider Jonathan Barragan. Following a tentative debut 24 hours earlier, he really got to grips with the Husqvarna to finish an impressive 4th. Another former world motocross rider, Johnny Aubert, continued to put in another stylish ride, but this time there's to be no repeat of his runner-up spot as he guided his factory beater to 3rd place and another podium position. All in all, a solid start to the campaign for the Frenchman. Following his crash on the opening extreme test, Antoine Mayo worked hard to recover lost time. The KTM factory rider dominated the final lap and fought his way back to 2nd place. The most consistent Enduro rider throughout the day, though, was Pela René. The Frenchman was top in just 3 of the tests, but his high scoring throughout helped him stave off the late attack from Mayo and secure the victory. Yet again, the French dominating the class, with Antoine Mayo counting the cost of that mistake on the extreme test as he loses out on the win by just 1 second.
The fight was really hard in the E2 class. All the day between Johnny and Mayo, it's changed sometimes of leader, and at the end I win, so it's perfect.
Before the season began, we thought this would be the most competitive category, and that's how it's turning out, with things still tight going into the next round. Finally, we turn our attention to Enduro 3. Matthias Bellino on the Bellray Husqvarna flew out of the traps as he posted the fastest time on the opening test of the day. He'd finished 3rd on day 1 and was determined to improve on that this time around. It hadn't been the best of weekends for his teammate Joachim Lundgren. He'd had a poor first day and then damaged his knee on the 2nd. Much happier was Bellino.
I'm still fighting for the front position, and that's good for the end of the day.
Lundgren would eventually struggle to 14th overall, with Bellino ending the day 6th. Igor Leok on the TM was looking for a big improvement this time, and he got it. The Estonian taking a 5th place finish, which was 2 positions better than the previous day. Mario Roman was another rider to go better, 13th on day 1. This time he came home in 8th. Another solid ride from Luis Correa in what would end as one of the closest battles of the weekend. The contest for 3rd was close, very close. But eventually, it was Matthew Phillips who took the final podium position, just edging out Correa by 0.2 of a second, the Australian therefore grabbing his 2nd podium of the weekend. This is Matteo Zekan on a Fantic. And this is an impressive ride in his first Enduro 3 season for Matti Saistola. The Finnish rider seizing 2nd spot on the overall leaderboard by the end of play. It was all hell Ivan Cervantes yet again. There was no one to touch him this time around. Spanish rider guiding his factory KTM to a margin of victory in excess of half a minute. Cervantes cheered all the way. Another reasonably close affair with less than 5 seconds covering 3rd to 6th. The man of the weekend, much to the delight of the crowd, is Ivan Cervantes.
I win both days, but it's also a big help with the supporting people, you know. It's here in Spain, in Catalonia. I am from Catalonia also, and the people is amazing.
It's advantage Cervantes, but there is some real opposition in Enduro 3, and the Spaniard will have to ride hard if he's to keep his lofty position intact. It's adios Spain, hola Portugal for round 2.